We just lost him, so maybe he'll be back. We got CL Brown's. So anyway,
he's on the turnpike.
He's calling in from Tallahassee. We got Shoot Around with CL Brown.
When it comes to what's happening in college basketball, no one has the lowdown like CL Brown. Now, it's time to hit the hardwood with CL Brown for the Sports Shop Shoot-Around.
Good morning, CL. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Pam.
Yeah, we was kind of waging whether or not you gonna be able to make it because most of the sound bites we played a little while ago was from you. So I like, yeah, maybe he's back, maybe he's not. I see. Let's talk about last night. I thought it was a continuation of just good shooting, but particularly the first half. But what was your overall assessment of the Heels winning last night?
Yeah, well, the short turnaround games have been pretty challenging for a lot of teams in the league, playing on Saturday and then playing on Monday, especially if you have to beat a road team on a Monday game.
Right.
And I thought the way they came out, kind of said a lot about their focus, and about their preparation for the game. But I never would have called that script of them hitting 11 threes. In the first half. Kind of I don't know if it's a red flag, but something to keep an eye on though is, the second half against Virginia, the second half against Florida State. They can't have let-ups. Like, teams are going to rally. Everybody got scholarship players, so it's
but not Florida State.
They got some nice players.
It's not that they're just going to get in front and,
y'all know. CL know. They all walk on.
Florida State cut the lead down to 4. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with like 2 minutes left, and it was 4 points twice. Carolina responded both times, but it could have got a lot dicier, and obviously, as K-Mac is alluding to, this isn't even though they had that 25-point comeback against Miami, this isn't really this isn't a very strong team this year, for the Seminoles. So that's just something to keep an eye on as the game comes up Saturday in Chapel Hill.
Well, help me understand this again. We're talking to CL Brown, Shoot Around CL Brown. He covers all things basketball for the News and Observer. CL, Dontre Styles, why in the hell did he play this game versus other games? I know you were saying that he's athletic, but he could have helped us out. Well, helped us out, in Carolina, in other games as well. Help me understand this.
I mean, I can't explain it exactly other than I feel like Hubert Davis uses his bench more like an NBA coach does. It's very situational. It's not like you play every game. You know what I'm saying? It's very much you have the body type to defend, this athletic guy on Florida State. So, you know what I mean? So that's why I think he, this was a game that he looked at. But as you were saying, I also felt like Dontre Styles could have helped out against Pittsburgh in those games, because Pittsburgh's got some big body athletic guys that, I felt like maybe he could help on. But, his number didn't really get called in those situations. But the good thing for Dontrez is, he responded. He had one turnover early.
Yeah, I thought he was nervous then.
I think
he was a little nervous when he first got in. Yeah.
But he also had, had a 3-pointer. One of 5 players to make 3-pointers in the game for Carolina. So 10 solid minutes for him. Maybe he'll get another chance on Saturday. Who knows?
Yeah.
Awesome. We are talking to Shoot Around with CL Brown, Mr. All Things Basketball for the News and Observer. So one question everybody's asking, I want to ask you, CL, with the wins of Notre Dame, Virginia, and now Florida State, Duke coming up Saturday, but win or lose, is UNC still on the bubble, in your thoughts?
Yes. They can't go to the – well, first of all, if they beat Duke, then I think one win in the ACC tournament would be enough.
Yeah.
If they lose to Duke, they might have to make it to the ACC title game. I definitely have to make it at least to the semifinals.
Yeah,
I feel like to feel, to still feel comfortable. And even that depends on who they play because, if there's some upsets early and they're not playing teams that are going to move the needle, like if they ended up playing Florida State again in a quarterfinal game or something like that, then that would be different too. Like that's the bad thing about the ACC this year. There aren't enough teams that you can really get good wins against. The bottom half of the league it's not going to move the needle. You know what I'm saying? Beating Syracuse again, beating Boston College, Virginia Tech, you name it. I mean, it's not going to do much for them. So keep an eye also out on who they're playing.
Okay. Good stuff.
Man, we're shooting around with CL Brown, and we're talking a little ACC basketball. Now, looking at the rest of the teams in the ACC, a lot of teams, it's kind of they kind of separated themselves. Who would you consider to be the top four, and how far do you think those top four may make it?
I like Miami, even though they blew that lead against Florida State. They're a tough matchup. They have good guards. Pittsburgh, you got to look at. The funny thing with Pittsburgh is they got older guys, experienced guys, but not necessarily guys who are that much experienced in the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be kind of an interesting dynamic to see if, once the bigger stage comes up and the bright lights come up, if they will, handle it the same way but they've got a toughness obviously about them that we've seen play out in a few of these games. When they came back against Carolina and Virginia, had them down 9 in the second half, and they won. They ended up winning both of those games at home. I still think Virginia's gonna get it together. The problem with Virginia is they are prone to these scoring droughts.
Yeah, that performance the other night is probably a lot of scouts gonna see that. That's probably gonna be a problem. So people gonna rely on the fact that they have that as a possibility because they just had zero offense, and that was not a good look.
And they also could be vulnerable against teams with size. It started in the game they beat Carolina in Charlottesville when they went to a smaller lineup, and then Tony Bennett has kind of stuck with that smaller lineup as his core group for the rest of the season since then. With the thought that it was going to get them a little bit more offense, and it has in spots, but I tend to, I think Tony is probably the best coach in the league right now, and so I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's gonna get it figured out. But in terms of deep runs, I don't really see any ACC team at this point making a deep run. Although I do think Miami is probably who I would kind of give the nod to right now as being most capable. And I'm still curious about this Carolina team, though. If they can continue to shoot at a higher clip from 3-point range, then watch out. You know what I mean? And Saturday is going to be a big test to that because Duke defensively, can get after it. And I also want to see Saturday's going to be big for a number of reasons because Duke they kind of got they're healthy now, and I feel like they kind of got into a groove playing kind of lesser teams. You know what I mean? During this 4-game winning streak, but they also played well. It should easily be a 5-game winning streak because Filipowski should have had free throws at the end of regulation at Virginia that could have won the game. Yeah. So, they're playing well, and I want to see. I can't wait to see Saturday's game because it's big for both teams, and I think it could be a statement game for whoever ends up winning.
Well, it's interesting you say that. We're talking to CL Brown. Shoot around CL Brown. This time last year, we could have predicted what happened. Had no idea.
I predicted what happened.
Did you?
All right.
Okay, well, good for you.
I predicted it quietly, it was only among the News and Observer staff, but after they lost the first game to Duke, I said after that game that Carolina was going to win in Cameron because of a bunch of circumstances, because of the pressure I felt like Duke was going to have with
Too much
with
distraction,
just the magnitude of the event. And because they beat Carolina by 20 in the first game, all Carolina had to do was keep it close, and they were going to tighten up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because in the back of their minds, they're like, we beat these dudes by 20. How are they still here? You know? So I predicted it.
Yeah, well,
Good prediction.
Good prediction. And my last point, we're going to let you get out of here. I couldn't have predicted this one. I know there's a lot of scouts there. Look at some of those young kids from Florida State. But Leaky Black made some money, man, like in the NBA when he leaves Carolina. And I never would have said that 2 years ago. But he's PJ Tucker like in that corner, and he shut down defensive player, which a lot of guys in the NBA love. He got a strong shot. See your thoughts.
He's got the size. He's got the length. Really, the only thing that has prevented Leaky from being a real prospect earlier, in his career has been his shooting.
Yeah.
That's what he hadn't been consistent, but he's starting this season. He started to show that he can knock down that three, especially he loves those corner threes.
Yes, he does.
And that's what led to that dunk.
Oh my God! But that was game changer too. That was major there, man. That was major last night.
Yeah. But he hit three earlier in the game, so you have to close out strong, thinking that might be a three, and
that's true.
Blows right by the kid.
Wow.
So I hope, because Leaky has kind of been through a lot during his career, and I would love to see him be in a position to get on an NBA roster, possibly.
But
obviously he still has to